Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. In today's tutorial, we're going to talk some more about my DTF printer from InkSonic. So I made this print and I'll show you how I do this in this video. We're going to go over the software, we're going to go over it printing, and some of the maintenance that you'll need to perform when you work with this DTF printer. Now, all DTF printers are going to require some form of maintenance, so that's something to think about when you get a printer. So without further ado, let's get started.
Now, when you're working with a DTF design, you want to make sure that you're using a really high quality PNG image. And for that, I like to find my images here on the Creative Fabrica website. I'll link some of my favorite sites to find PNG images down below. But you can just scroll through, you can search for something specific that you're looking for. There are so many options. And one of the things you want to make sure that you're looking for is something that says 300 DPI. So I'm going to open up this cat one just because this one's pretty cute. It's got a lot of great colors. It's got some cool like shapes and stuff. So I want to show you down on this little section here. What you're going to kind of look for is just to make sure it looks like they actually like know what they're talking about with these designs, because not all of them are going to be great. They're going to be low quality. And if they are, be sure to leave a review. But this one looks like it's probably going to be okay. It's got a 5-star review. It looks like they know what they're talking about. Now, it doesn't say that it's 300 DPI, but it does say high resolution, which some people will list instead of saying high, the DPI, because a lot of people don't know what the DPI stands for. But that's just basically telling you that it's a high quality image. So what I want to do is I'm going to download the image because I have Creative Fabrica's subscription, which I highly recommend, especially if you're getting into DTF printing. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this into my Cricut folder. So I have a folder that's all really well organized, and I'm going to put it under animals. And this one is called Floral Valentine Cat. And I do have another design that we're going to do too, just so you can see a couple different like designs. So once I've downloaded this one, I need to make sure that I unzip my folder or extract it. So you'll see here that I have this extract all option. I'm just going to click that and click extract. Now, with this one, you're just going to go ahead and you'll have your image. You'll see should populate it, and I'll open it up so you can see what it looks like. But when you're working with a DTF printer, you want to make sure that your images don't have any background on them, and they have what's called a transparent background. You can see that this one does, in fact, because you can see through the design, you can see that it's black behind it. Now we're going to head over to the InkSonic software. This here is your InkSonic software, and this is where you need to print from. But I want to show you just a few little things here and there before you get started. So number one is your canvas size. It may default to a really big canvas size, and you don't want that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go right here to this one here. It is like a box with a little diagonal arrow in it. When you click on that, you can change your canvas size. Now, your width is going to be about 11.6 inches for the size of your film. But you can change the height so that you can print like a really long set of designs. You can print multiple designs by doing that. For now, I'm just going to leave it here at this 13 inches, and that's fine. But if yours is too big or too small, you can change it right there. The other one that's going to be really important to you is this right here. This is like a little mountain inside of a square. This is how you're going to add your image. When you do that, you're going to click on that, and it's going to open up your folders and say, okay, where would you like to add your image from? So I need to go to my desktop and then to my Cricut folder. And then remember, I saved that in animals, and it was called Floral Cat. So I'm going to scroll down until I find where the floral cat is, and it's right here, Floral Valentine. Choose that, and I'm going to choose the PNG. Now it's going to load it into your design. Now you can see, first off, it looks really terrible right now because this thing is enormous. You can see down here, it's set to 49 inches wide and 60 inches high, which is way too big. So to change that, you just click down here and you can delete all the numbers and change it to whatever size you want. Now I'm going to just do this one kind of as like a test print. So I just want like a small print of it. Because it is a little bit slow. So I don't want to take too long, and I don't really necessarily want this one on a shirt. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. And you can both use the sizing down at the bottom, or you can use these tabs in the corner to make this small. So I'll make it kind of small so it'll fit like on a little pouch. Now, am I going to waste a bunch of the film? Yes, I am, but that's okay. I'm not super concerned. Now, when you're working with a DTF print, you need to make sure that you mirror your image. This is most important when you have wording on your image, but if I just do this image, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't matter if it faces one way or the other. But if you specifically want your image to face a certain way, make sure that you mirror the design, which you can do just down here where you see where it says horizontal mirror. If you click that, it'll flip your image. Now you can do it in the next step, but I just prefer to do it this way. It's just like with Cricut, I don't forget to mirror it then and it's good to go. Now, I haven't had to touch anything over here to adjust any of my colors, so I just leave that alone, honestly. And what you'll do is once you're happy with where your image is, and you can move this on your mat if you want it to print like in the center, if you want it to print on the side, wherever you want it to print. I'll move it over a little bit just so you can see it better. And then you're going to click this rip right here where it says RIP. That's going to rip your job. Now, again, this is something that I don't have to mess with, but you can have this print multiple copies of your design. And you can do this error compensation, which I've played with a little bit and really haven't had any problems with it at all. So I just kind of left everything the same. And one thing I'll say is that I've been really pleased with that. But if you go down here, you want to scroll down to where you have your output setting. You can actually mirror this, or you can rotate it 180 degrees. So you can like flip it upside down. So that's definitely an option. Now, I want to show you something else. You'll notice that this design is like longer than it is wide. So I can actually put it on its side to take up a little bit less of my film. Again, I've got a ton, so I'm not really concerned, but that's just an option to show you how to save a little bit more space. Now, what I'm going to do again, I'm going to click this rip button, and once I showed you kind of all that, so now you see it takes up a little less space. So again, you can mirror it from down here, and you can rotate it, whatever you want to do, but I don't really mess with any of that. And like I said, because that setting's really hidden, I don't think about it, so I do recommend just flipping it. Then all you're going to do here is click the print button. Now, this is not sending this to your printer just yet. What this is doing is it is ripping that design, and that's just telling the printer like what to do with it. I don't exactly know what rip means and stands for, but we can always Google it and find out. But it's going to process that image. Now, it shouldn't take too terribly long. The bigger your image is, the more images you have, the longer it will take. Once it says that it's done processing 100%, you want to hit this rip button over here. Now, do not ask me why we need to do that, but we do. I have found that if I don't do that, it doesn't seem to process it quite correctly. Now, I don't have the printer on right this second, so it does make a bit of noise because it has like a air that runs through it that keeps it like sucking the film down so that it prints really well. So I'm going to turn the printer on, and I'm going to show you the next steps because I have to have the printer on for that. You can probably hear the printer moving in the background. That's totally normal. But what you want to do is you're going to go here to this printer, and you're going to click on that. And that's going to actually send it to the printer to get it started. Now, I'm going to show you it printing this little design, and then I'm going to show you how to make a design that we're going to do for each sheet. Have to do anything over here on the software. The printer just finishes. You can save the design, but you can also, if you're never going to use it again, you can simply select it and delete it. It just doesn't really matter. So see, it's selected because it's white. If I just select the delete button, it will ask me if I want to delete my selected jobs, and I do. I really don't need that design. Now, if I want to go back in and create something else, all I simply do is hit these two little arrows, and it will put me back on this screen. And you can see that my original design is still there, so I can always redo it. Now, if I just want to get rid of it, I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard. Now, I want to add a new design, and this one we're going to make bigger, and this one will take longer to print, but I just wanted to kind of show you a small one first. Plus, if I haven't printed in a while, I do always do a quick test print to make sure that that white ink comes out, because sometimes if you don't print for a couple of days, the white gets kind of stopped up, and I'll show you kind of how I fixed that a little later in the video. Now, I want to add a new image, so again, I'm going to go here to add picture. Now, this one is actually in my SD card. I brought it over from my other computer, so I'm going to select that one here, and it's this Tay bracelet one. Now this is gonna, again, load pretty big, and you can see that it looks a little funky. This one is gonna look a little bit funky because it's not like the best quality, but it is really cute. But you can see here it's 15 inches wide, which is way too big for what I wanna do with it. I only want this to be about 10 inches wide, so I'm gonna select that. Now I can see here that it's still pretty long, and I'm putting this on a shirt, so I think that that's still too big. So I don't think I want it to be any longer than maybe like, I don't know, maybe 9 inches long. So let me just change how tall it is and just see if I prefer that a little bit more to what I was going to do. Because I want to put this like on the middle of a shirt, if that makes sense. So I just kind of need to judge that based on like how big. Now I could definitely go a little bit bigger if I want to. So I think I'm going to go maybe 10 inches because I don't want it to be tiny, but I also don't want it to be giant. So I think that's pretty good. And for this one, I'll leave it up in this upper corner just so you can kind of get an idea. Now, this is ready to go, all set. I don't have to do anything else, but remember, I do need to mirror it because there's definitely words on this. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it so that it is mirrored. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to click rip. Now, once I've clicked rip, you'll see that I can just simply hit print, and it'll send it to that next screen where it processes the rip. Now, you'll notice that this one has tons of colors, tons of white, and that's why I kind of chose something like this, partially A, because I do like Taylor Swift, but also I thought all the colors were really fun and would show us a really great example of printing with this and how to use the software, because you don't really have to do a whole lot. It's really, really simple, and that's one thing that I really like about it. Now, it's done printing, so remember, we have to hit rip again. We're going to do that one more time. Now, like I said, do you have to do that? I'm not sure, but I've had more problems if I haven't done it than I have when I have done it. So I'm going to continue to do that. If you try it without doing it and you have no issues, that's awesome. But sometimes mine won't send it to the printer unless I've ripped it that second time. But I do know that it works for me, so I just want to share what works for me, but definitely give it a try, only doing it once. Now, again, all I have to do is simply hit this print button. It's going to send it over to the printer, and it's going to print it out.
Once they were printed. So this is what it looks like on your film. Now you do have one more step that we need to do in order to get these ready to be put onto a shirt. There's actually two. So the first step is you're going to add a powder to it. Now I just use a Tupperware dish that I just use for random stuff. But once you use this, don't put food ever in this again. But you just get this powder. It's a DTF powder. And you're going to make sure that you spread it all over your print. So I do that by just kind of picking up my print and shaking that powder around. Now you want to make sure to keep the powder in the dish because you can totally reuse this. And I'm also going to do the cat one really quick because that one's super tiny and that way it's just done. But you want to be really careful before you put powder on because you can spread the ink. You can smudge it. So just make sure you don't touch the ink. You can shake off any excess powder. And then because this one's little, I just sort of kind of shimmied it in there and then just put some powder on it. It's really easy to do. Once you've done that, you can pour the powder that you haven't used right back into your container of powder, which in this case is my little bag. That way you can reuse it again because you don't want to waste when you don't have to. But like I said, once you've used this Tupperware dish for DTF powder, please don't use it to put food in, to cook in, to heat up anything. This should just be specifically for that. I'm adding this in here because the instructions for the heat curing for the DTF included with your printer are incorrect, and InkSonic did not inform me of this until January 12th, several days after this video was fully completed. Is this annoying? Absolutely, and I think if you're a company, you need to make sure that your instructions are correct, or you add an additional correction if you need to that comes with the printer. The right way to cure this is for 140 to 160 degrees Celsius, which is 260 to 300 Fahrenheit, for 20 to 30 seconds. You're going to hear me say some different directions in this video. And again, it's because I was not informed of this until quite late in the game. This video is coming out on the 17th and I was informed on the 12th, which means that video has long been finished. So just be aware of this change. Now, this is the oven from InkSonic, and you want to set it to 180 degrees Celsius and for 80 seconds. So you can just set it just like you would a regular heat press by hitting time and temp. Now, this does have a drawer in it, so you pull the drawer out and you put your print into the oven to cure for 80 seconds. It does count it down. Now, you want to make sure that your room is well ventilated when doing this. You can see all that smoke coming off of it. Just make sure you have a well-ventilated room. You take this out, let it cool, and we're going to be ready to press this in just a second. Now, once you've printed your design, what's great about DTF, direct to film transfers, is they can really be used on just about any fabric that you want to. So this is a Gildan sweatshirt, and this one, just so you know, is the heavy blend. I'll link it down below. And it's 50% cotton, 50% polyester, so it's a great blend for a sweatshirt. Now, with this, I like to use heat tape to hold my design down once I've placed it where I want it. So I'm just going to use some heat tape, and this is like what you would use with sublimation, but it's great for DTF. Now, you want to put your design 3 fingers down from your collar, and then you want to get it centered on your shirt. Now, you never want to use your pocket as your center point. Pockets are actually not centered on sweatshirts. So what you want to use is the shoulders, and you want to use the edges of the hood. So right where the hood stitching is, you use that. And then you can use the sleeves to kind of help you get it really well centered. So I don't tend to use like any of the little tools. I'm pretty good at finding center on my own. So I'm going to get this centered. It's about 3 fingers down. Now this design is a little skewed because it's not fully like a square. It's hand drawn, so it's not going to be like completely perfectly straight, and it is a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, and I think I want to move it over a little bit this way, just a touch. And then I think that's probably fairly centered. So I'm going to go ahead and just call that good. And I'm going to use my heat tape, and I usually just put it in the corners of the design. It does not matter if your heat tape covers your design at all. It won't affect the press, and it should be just fine. Now, I'm going to fold my shirt. So this is how I like to move it over to the press. I fold it up around that design just so that the design doesn't shift when I move it over to my press. Now, I could put this on my shirt and center it while it's on my press, but I don't have great lighting over there, so I do prefer to do it on my table. Now, these are going to press for 310 degrees for 10 seconds. Then you allow your design to cool, and then you're going to press it again without the carrier sheet on it for another 10 seconds, and I'll show you all that over at the heat press. And when I bring this over to my press, I actually like to turn this so it's backwards. I like to have the hood hanging off this side just because it's a lot of fabric and it kind of gets in the way. And then I'm just going to unfold the sweatshirt, and I just tuck it kind of around the press, and then I just kind of roll the bottom part off. Now, I have a pressing pillow under this. I always do. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that this design is where that pressing pillow is sitting. So I just kind of make sure that the pressing pillow is fully under our design. Now this needs to heat up just a little bit more, so I'm gonna let this heat up and then we'll press. Now that the press is heated up, we're gonna press this. Now I do use a medium to firm pressure when I press DTF prints, and that's true for any DTF print that I use. Once the press is done, we're gonna go ahead and lift up. Now, it is not ready to be peeled, so I want you to make sure that you don't touch this. You can touch it, but I don't want you to peel it up. We're going to need to let this cool. Now, you can take this off the press to cool, or you can leave it here to cool. It will take a little bit longer. But one trick I like to use sometimes just to help it cool a little faster is I'll take like the extra pieces of the shirt fabric, and I'll just kind of press it on to the design, and that can help cool it down a lot quicker. You can also use things like tile or marble. Listen, you'll see some companies that'll try to sell you cooling blocks. Please don't waste your money. All you simply need to do is go to Home Depot and buy a little piece of marble that's like from the scrap marble. You can get it for really inexpensive, and you can use that as a cooling block because that's literally all it is that they are selling you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let this cool down for a little bit, and then we're going to peel it. Once this is really cool to the touch, you can go ahead and peel this. It's super easy. I like to just take the tape off of at least one corner, but sometimes I'll do all of them. It's just kind of depending on how well the tape's stuck to the shirt. Some shirts it sticks really well and others not so great, but it stuck pretty good. So I'm just going to peel those two. And then all you simply do is you just peel back this carrier sheet. And when I say carrier sheet, I mean the film that you printed on. Now I do like to just go a little bit slower with this. I don't like to like rip it off just on the off chance that something didn't stick, but I've yet to have an issue. I'm just a little more cautious because I would hate for something to happen. Now, this is not our last step. Remember, we need to press this one more time, and you don't need to put that film back on top. You can just press this straight as is, and you're going to press it again for that 310 degrees for the 10 seconds, and once you've done that, your shirt is good to go. Our shirt is fully finished. I'll let this cool, and I want to give you guys an up-close look at this, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about how to open the lid of your machine. Now this does open this plastic piece right here, but it doesn't give you enough access to do most of like the cleaning and things. So what you'll do is there's this black bar right here and there's a little tab. You push this tab down and you lift it up and then it'll kind of pop up. Then you just turn this and you can open the lid. It does have like a little, tab. Then you can really access the inside here really, really well. Now, one thing I want you to note is that this is obviously where all of your inks go. And then these are the lines for your inks, which I showed you in the previous video. There's also a bottle that's over here. It's this white circle that you can see. And this is something you're going to want to keep an eye on for your maintenance because this is your waste ink bottle. So if it gets full, you can just empty it, but you want to make sure that you keep an eye on how full that's getting because you obviously don't want that to overflow. That can create a huge mess. Now, I do want to show you what I had to do in order to fix when my white ink wasn't coming out. So let me turn the printer on here so that this will move. And I'm going to turn the suction off, which is this circle dial over here, because it's really loud and we don't need it right now since we're just going to be showing you a couple things. Now, I need to make sure that this gets out of my way, that carrier. So I'm actually going to turn the printer off in the middle of it moving this because this is very in the way of what I need to access in order to fix the white ink issue. Now, my white ink is currently working fine, so I'm not actually going to do this, but I want to show you basically what you need to do. You'll get this Nozzle cleaning liquid. It's like a blue liquid in a little bottle. What you will do is there is a metal grate, and let me see if I can zoom you in on that so you can see it. This is what sits under your print head moving part. So this metal grate right here, which is this kind of like rectangle thing with the grids in it, you're going to pour just a little bit of this solution into that grid. Now, again, I don't need to do that right now, but this basically just moisturizes that pad and it's going to help your white come out better. So if you're having a white ink issue, that's the first thing you'll want to try. And once you've done that and you've gotten it all wet, you're going to turn the printer back on and you're going to actually turn the printer itself on with the button on the front, which is the power button. This just kind of gives it its first set of power, but then you got to actually turn it on. And I'm going to show you the next thing that we need to do, which is a regular maintenance thing that you need to make sure you keep in mind when you're doing this. In order to wipe off the print heads, they don't give a great video on this. So I am going to do my best here to get you a decent view of what I'm doing, but also just note that I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. Now, one thing that you want to make sure you have, and this one's probably way too small, but it's what I have on hand. You want a microfiber cloth or a cloth that's made for like cleaning your glasses because these are lint-free cloths. You don't want to just go in like with a paper towel or like a terry cloth towel, nothing like that. So what you'll do is you're going to take these out. As far as I could tell, these were removed in their video, but again, they don't have great videos. It's one of my complaints. I'm going to move them just out of like the holder because I think that if I touch the print heads with them in, I wonder if it potentially causes like the ink to come out, which you don't want. So I'm just going to move them. And all you do is just lift them like I showed you when we put the ink in them. You just kind of lift them out, and you can do the same with the white. Now, like I said, do I think this towel's big enough? No, I think I need a bigger one because I can't really like reach under here with this cloth all the way. But you'll note, look at how dirty that is. So gross, so dirty. Let me see if I can get it to focus on that for you. And that's just the edge. And like, look, it's on my finger. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning under here quite often. They say like every couple of prints. It's been about 10 prints for me. So I'm just going to kind of clean under here. I'm going to get a bigger cloth from Amazon, and I'll link a bigger one when I find one down below. My husband probably has some for his car stuff, but I don't know where he keeps all that. So I'm just going to go ahead and give this a nice little like clean with this best I can. But that's basically all you do. And if you have a big one, you can kind of run it under this and then pull it from each side and clean it off. And then once you've cleaned those, all you simply do is you just place these back into the holder, and they just snap in place. So you'll kind of hear them snap into place. And then you do the same with the white. You just snap the white back in, but the white doesn't have the big tabs on the top. So you just kind of push those back into place. That's how you clean it for the most part. There are a few other parts that might need cleaned further on in its life. Haven't quite gotten to those parts yet, but when I do, I will do some videos on like more cleaning with this. But so far, so good. I do like it. I think it works really well. I don't think the maintenance is terrible, but it is definitely something that you want to think about if you're thinking about getting a DTF printer. How much time are you willing to kind of put into it for any kind of maintenance required? Once you've turned the printer on, after you've done all that, what you want to do, this is like a regular maintenance thing you want to do every few days. This button here has a little teardrop under it, and you want to press it and hold it for about 5 seconds, and it will flash, though it is hard to see when it flashes, but you'll kind of hear the printer move. What that is that's the nozzle head cleaning, and that's something that is recommended maintenance pretty much every time you use the machine. So it's going to go ahead and clean that. There really isn't much to see when it cleans it. You might see some ink come into that ink bottle that I talked about, but otherwise it's a pretty quick process. It only takes like 30 to 40 seconds, so it's really easy to do, but you want to do that every couple of days if you haven't used it, and you definitely want to do it after you use the machine. It's just going to help keep your machine running really well. And this is basically what it sounds like when it's cleaning that nozzle head. It just makes a little bit of noise, moves the machine around, and then, like I said, you'll have some ink that will go into your waste bottle over here. But really, this is just something that you just do every once in a while. It does keep it running really nice and smooth. But yeah, it'll just put some ink into that waste bottle. And like I said, you want to watch this waste bottle, and you can see how full it is, like over here. It's just hard to get it on camera, but you can just dump that ink out and you can reuse the bottle. So I wouldn't worry about that. Now, I do want to show you how to wipe the print heads off, because that's something else that you're going to need to do from time to time. I wanted to be sure to show you the shirts that we printed in our first video. They've been washed 7 times, so ignore the pet hair, but they are holding up really, really well. The colors still look fantastic. The prints are great. I do wash on cold, and I do put them in the dryer on high, and our dryer gets real hot, but they are holding up so well. I don't think I have any issues as far as worrying about these prints holding up, because ink and powder, all of that can affect how your designs hold up. So you want to make sure you're using a quality ink and a quality powder. And I would say that the InkSonic brand has a really good quality, because like I said, these are really holding up. You can see the colors are bright. And again, they're not cracking. They're still in perfect condition. So I'm really happy with it. Now, if you have any questions about this DTF printer, DTF prints in general, the software, anything like that, please let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. I'd love to have you as part of my crafty family here. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.